Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew. Happy Tuesday. It's time to once again focus in on pagan problems. Today we're going to be covering ideas about running away from things that help us. Why do we do this? We have all done it at least once in our lives, sometimes even when we are actively seeking to better our situation or to deal with some psychological or emotional issues. We find that we run up against a little bit of resistance, but it's not coming from the outside world, it's coming from within. Why? You would think that if we're wanting to make things better, that everything within our mind, our soul, body, emotions, spiritually even, it would just all work together as a team to get those roadblocks out of the way. And sometimes when you're centered and focused, it can work out that way. But the rest of the time, there is this whole issue of self-sabotage. One reason this occurs is because it's actually very, very difficult to get past very deep-rooted beliefs that we're doomed, or that we can't recover, that we aren't worth redemption, or that there's nothing within our power to better our situation. More often than not, these beliefs are intensely irrational. But feelings do not care about facts, and oftentimes when people are stuck in this emotional feedback loop, no matter how self-destructive it is, they're not going to respond to facts or to reason or to looking at things more objectively. It's because they are caught in this whirlwind, this horrible, horrible, I suppose a whirlpool would actually be a better metaphor of just the watery emotions just spinning round and round and round, dragging you underneath the water into the very deep itself. That's certainly how it feels. Another issue that we contend with is oftentimes social pressure to stay stuck. Misery loves company. That has become a saying for a reason. And people who are successfully heal themselves or who improve their situations or do anything that demonstrates, that is a living demonstration that things can get better and you are able to do things for yourself, well, it's a reproach against those who are clinging to their wounds. Your mere existence and the example that you have set that something better is possible for people, well, I don't want to say it's an insult, but it does fly into people's faces of if you just work hard, if you decide that maybe your fears or your anxieties or whatever it is that's weighing you down is not the most important consideration, it does not deserve to have top priority, and that something else should take precedence over that, well, it kind of slaps people in the face who are refusing to take the responsibility for that. A third issue that we deal with is certainly that the challenge of getting beyond things that are bothering us or that have kind of kept us trapped in some fashion, that might look like too high of a mountain to climb. And if you're just stuck at the bottom and you're just, you're looking up, you're thinking, okay, I don't see much of a trail here. Oh boy, that really does go up high, and that's above the timberline. That's going to be cold. I don't know if I have the right clothes for that. How will I get food? How will I survive? How can I actually get to the top of that mountain? I don't know. It's scary. I don't have the equipment. I don't know what I need to do. And you just keep building and building and building until you have a mountain of objections as big as the original mountain itself. And so the cycle goes on and on. And if it was just a quick, easy, simple solution to deal with any of the issues that I've mentioned, and they're just three amongst many. If there was a quick and easy solution, surely our species, someone among us, would have found a reliable and a consistent and repeatable answer. It's like, okay, you're in this point, do this, and it'll all work out fine. Well, it's not so simple because we're not so simple. We aren't machines. We don't always operate on logical lines. And if we did, well, we wouldn't be any better than the machines now, would we? It's just that with all of the freedoms and the possibilities that opens up for us, it also has a mirror image of absolute hell. And that's really what we're contending with. So, getting beyond self-sabotage, I want to emphasize these are ideas. I am not a mental health professional, and if that's the kind of help you're needing, you need to seek that out. I can only talk about this as a layman, as someone who's just lived a little bit of life, and just some common sense, kitchen table kind of advice. See it on that level, because that's the level it's existing on. Don't substitute it for anything else. But if we're going to get beyond self-sabotage, I think we have to let go of the idea that we could have life-changing results immediately or very soon. So often I keep coming back to saying, something is a process, not an event, and this is another time when that principle applies. Most change that we experience in our life, whether for good or ill, it's a series of steps. It's a journey of personal evolution or devolution, as the case may be. And there are setbacks, there are detours, and if we don't keep things in perspective and keep our mind on what the ultimate goal is, we can lose sight that this is a process and that there is value in going through the process. And we stop and we get stuck again, and then we, have another layer of resistance that we have to break through. So cultivating the quality of persistence and practicing persistence a little bit every day, that can help us learn to see the bigger picture, and it can help get us back on track when we fall down or lose sight of where we are, which inevitably almost all of us go through that. So what I mean by cultivating persistence, you might set small, reasonable goals. Let's say you want to accomplish a certain number of tasks when you get up in the morning. You want to do certain things before you get off to work or you go and start your day. Well, instead of saying, oh, here's my 5 things I want to get done before I do the rest of my day, say, of those 5 things, this one thing I think is the most important, or this one thing I think would be the easiest to get into the habit of doing. And you just start with that one thing, and you build up a routine, and you get consistent. And if you do it, every single day for a single week, have some kind of reward set up for you. If you are able to associate rewards with the idea of persistence and then gradually adding on to your goal over time, not only will you eventually get to where you need to be, but it will reset your brain. Your brain is not thinking about just how agonizing this process of change is going to be. It's going to thinking, oh, I get something out of it, and that something is good. Positive reinforcement, I think that is a thing, and I think we can use that to train ourselves. Second thing, this is definitely something to abandon, is doing the same things over and over again and expecting to get different results. That is the absolute working definition of insanity. But we do it, and we do it because sometimes we get stuck on this rut, and we're just this little train track going round and round in circles over and over again. And sometimes that can even limit our vision because, we're not even looking out of the windows of this train track we're in. We're just focused on the track, and we're just making that circle over and over again. It's like a cat watching something go round and round and round, and all of our attention is focused on that. And thinking that by staying on that same track that something will change for us, well, that's quite wrong. And so often it's not just our behavior that needs to change, it's our mind that needs to change. And until the mind change, any differences of behavior are going to be very, very temporary. So it's not the funnest thing to try to tackle both at once, but without tackling the mental process, we are going to keep stuck on that same train track. Perhaps we're afraid of trying different things. The unknown can be frightening, especially when it involves healing. If we heal, somewhere in the back of our mind, we know that it will change us. We will no longer be the person that we were. We will be evolving into someone who we don't know that, and that can be scary. And sometimes this leads to us dragging our feet, and we're not going to be making changes that are necessary to create new circumstances. And also we won't be going through the steps to create a new mindset. And we stay stuck. So if we do find ourselves stuck in that particular fashion, we might want to think about something that I actually learned in massage therapy school. One of my teachers was also a psychotherapist, and he said, so often in life, with you psychologically, as well as with anything else, as well as when you're doing massage, if something hurts doing a particular action, try moving it in the opposite direction. This means activating the muscle in the opposite direction of how it hurts, or engaging in a different thought process or behavior, the opposite of what we have been doing, and then see if it helps. Obviously, there are some caveats, so don't take the principle to a ridiculous place. But think about it this way. If your usual coping methods don't help, they're just not taking effect anymore, maybe it's time to do the opposite. Maybe it's time to do something different. Maybe if, we're very focused on this train track and we're just going over and over on this horrible series of events that will go on if we continue on this train track, maybe it's time to bust up that train track. Maybe it's time to say, see that little signal switch up there? Maybe I need to pull it. Maybe, just maybe, we're looking in the wrong place for our solutions. Instead of thinking we're going to suddenly find them on this track, maybe we need to look outside of it entirely. Maybe it's time to get off that train. Food for thought. Third thing that we need to focus on when we're trying to run towards things that will help us rather than away from them is really honing in on changing our thought process. I've been bringing this up over and over again because it is necessary, and it is also very hard work. It does involve consciously recognizing and rejecting thoughts that have kept us tied to past wounds, to self-destructive behaviors, or to anything that is just causing us to stagnate. And there isn't a pill that we can take to make this easier. I mean, sometimes pills can do a very good job of lessening symptoms, and sometimes without symptoms, people are able to cope and go forward in life more effectively. So this is not a rejection of psychological medicines coming in the form of pills. I'm just saying that pills can't do everything. They might give someone a head start, but you are still going to have to follow through with your own actions and with your own thoughts. Another thing to remember is that no one can do this work for us. We have become a very passive society. We have become a voyeuristic society. We'll watch all kinds of YouTube videos about things we can do and hobbies we can do and things we can try and all this and that. But how many people get up off their ass and actually accomplish something? So don't think that someone is going to do it for you. Don't think that someone can. No one can come in and rescue you. Even if you're working with a really effective therapist, the therapist can only serve as a guide. It's you that has to actually walk the path towards healing. And without making the effort and without disciplining ourselves to think in a healthier way and then act in a healthier way, we will absolutely fall back into old emotions, old thoughts, old trauma responses, old pain. Journaling might be something that helps us. That could be a way that we're able to recognize and record the thoughts that really hold us down, identifying them. And that can give us a focus during meditation when retraining our brain, saying, this is something I need to stop believing. And maybe making a list of these are the reasons why it's false. These are the reasons, the benefits that I will get once I abandon this and can truly leave it behind. Whatever we need to do, make use of tools that we have learned through other areas of our life or through the therapeutic process or just through conversation of seeing other people who are able to, move forward in life. They're not stuck. They're not weighed down. They're living life. What are they doing? What kinds of things are they up to? Looking at all of it in a holistic way can be quite helpful to us. Now, I've briefly talked about rewards, but I want to highlight 3 big rewards that I think cannot be meditated upon too much. The first reward is that we will not have the tiresome and the tedious process of constantly rehashing old wounds and getting bogged down in the emotions that originate and belong in the past. Instead, we will have the reward of dealing with new challenges and doing different things, and we're moving forward and we're able to be proactive, and the emotions that we're experiencing are the emotions of the moment. They're not tied back to whatever tangled mess we have in the past. They're a reaction to what's going on in the here and now. Big reward there. Second reward is no more stagnation. We'll be free to evolve along the lines that we should. Every human being has their own path they need to tread. And while we have things in common with other people who are on a similar track, they aren't taking the exact same steps that we have. They're not the exact same person. So our journey really is uniquely our own, and we cannot take that journey if we're stuck in the bog. Stagnation does not help anything. Stagnation is essentially a form of spiritual death. So by getting that out of our systems, challenging ourselves to continue to evolve and to move forward, we have huge rewards we can get from that. And the last one I want to highlight, the third reward, is being able to move forward into a new chapter in your life. I do tend to think of life in a series of chapters. You know, childhood is one, adolescence is its own chapter. For some people, it is absolutely their own book. Then you have, you know, your 20s, your early adulthood, your beginning steps, you know, your 30s when you're into your maturity and you really should kind of be knowing where you're going to be at life. Then the 40s, beginning of the autumn years, and this and that, and so on and so forth. If we are still dealing in our 40s, we are still dealing with past hurts and wounds that we experienced as teenagers, we haven't really moved into that new chapter. And because we haven't really moved into that new chapter, we have held back on our own growth. And that means that we're not pressing into the maturity that really the younger generation will start to look to us for. You know, if you manage to get into your 40s, I mean, you're still alive, you're still here, and you're a functional human being, you know, at some point, someone younger than you is going to take a look at that and say, you know, they must have done something right. You know, so-and-so isn't perfect, and I'm sure they've made all kinds of mistakes, but they're still here. You know, and they're living each day. They are not stuck. They are not trapped. Someone in that position is going to look for us for some kind of wisdom, and we cannot bestow upon them wisdom that we have yet to accrue. And so we do need to take this seriously, especially in a culture that, you know, worships the young, thinks youthfulness is the best thing, is obsessed with anti-aging, and you know, and doing everything possible to pretend that that we can all pretend to be in our, you know, late 20s, early 30s throughout the entirety of our lives, and that we can always be in that mode. That isn't reality. That isn't life. And it can be hard to fight against that. But it's worthwhile, because the people who get stuck doing that, the older they get, the more ridiculous they look. And you know, they're not someone who someone can go to for wisdom or for experience. All you have is someone who's been able to perpetuate a delusion for perhaps decades. We don't have to let that be us. We do not have to be a victim to some very false ideas and some anti-nature ideas that have taken hold in our society. We can choose not to fall into that particular trap. So I hope you have gotten something out of this. I hope it has gotten you thinking about areas in your life that maybe there is something in your past holding you back, of, you know, turning around, dealing with it, and saying, okay, you belong over there, my life is over here, and it's moving forward. I hope this has also been a source of inspiration and maybe a boost of confidence. You know, it can be very demoralizing when we do get stuck in life. So maybe just a reminder that it doesn't have to be you. Things do not have to be stuck. Maybe this can be a beginning part of your journey of adopting a different belief system, of saying, you know, no, I can get past this. I don't have to be defined by this bad experience. I don't have to be in this pain of whatever kind it happens to be for all of my life. I can have life after the trauma, after the tragedy, after the problems. So hopefully there's a lot to think about. Not sure what kind of challenge we're going to be talking about next week, because next Tuesday we will be in the month of October. I'm so happy about that. I wait the entire year just to get back to October. I love it so much. But the challenges that I talk about, they will have some relation to Samhain and the energies of this particular time of year. So come back for that. But in the meantime, I will see you in another video. So bye for now.